thing which came from our Prime Minister saying that government has no business to be in the business, which clearly talks about that government should step back, should look into the regulation, administration, ease of doing business rather than doing business. And if that were to happen, clearly it will be a boost to the GDP.
Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. Today it is an honor and a pleasure for me to introduce you all to this very particular session. We are going to know more about the vision of $5 trillion economy. My name is Harsh and I'm going to moderate this session for all of you wherein I'm going to introduce you all about session and perhaps the person who is going to interact and address all of us. First of all, I request you all to kindly acknowledge and welcome the presence of our esteemed guest, Mr. Siddhartha Rastogi, who is here with us. I would like to request all the person, those who are watching this session on YouTube, to kindly upload in the comment section and welcome the presence of our esteemed guest. Our guest, Mr. Siddhartha Rastogi, is a managing director and chief operating officer of a leading asset management company. He specializes in economics, capital market, fundraising, banking, behavioral finance, not because of his degree, but on the account of a work he has done with various organizations throughout his life. So, sir, first of all, sir, I welcome you to in this session. Thank you so much for joining and agreeing to share your thoughts with us.
Thank you, Harsh. Thank you for introducing me to the honest talk. Let's figure out not how we can make $5 trillion economy in next 5 years, but the vision is very simple, 10 in 10. So $10 trillion by 2030, India to emerge as the third largest economy by 2030. Can we do it?
Sure,
How
sir.
is it possible? Will the entire poverty get decimated from India and India can become the olden Sone ke chidiya, the olden golden bird, which it was before Britishers arrived? Can it become by the time we are in 2030?
Indeed, sir. I think the kind of energy you brought into this session is going to inspire many of our viewers. Sir, what we have seen is that Prime Minister Narendra Modi in 2019 envisioned making India a USD 5 trillion economy and a global economic powerhouse by 2024 to 2025. Although the Indian economy is established to contract by 7.7% during the current fiscal, it is projected to record a growth rate of over 11% in the year 2021 to 2022. Sir, my first question to you is India's 5 trillion economy dream is attainable if economies grow at this rate?
So very, very simple. I'm again going to focus not on the $5 trillion economy. I'm going to focus on the $10 trillion economy. If we have to hit the $10 trillion economy, we have to grow at a nominal rate of nearly 13.5 to 14% compounded over next decade or so. What does it translate into? It means 7.5% of real GDP growth and 6% growth in inflation. 6% inflation, as RBI has recently said, it is a very achievable and controllable measure. So 6% inflation is something which one can see clearly. The question comes on 7.5% to 8% consistent real GDP growth. And we have done it in the past. We have done it consecutively in the past. We have done it successively in the past. And there is no reason just by twisting, and putting little more efficiency, why we can't achieve this 7.5-8% growth year on year over next decade for India.
Indeed, sir. I think it is again a quite insightful answer from your side, and I think the many of your viewers are going to learn many things from this session. Sir, one thing, privatization, quote unquote, is the word which is ruling the media and our minds. Sir, my question to you is, will privatization revive the Indian economy? What are the impacts, and will privatization affect the people?
So let me first talk about the privatization, but privatization is not the only thing which will drive the Indian economy if we are talking about 7.5% to 8% growth. Privatization is important and government is taking all the right measures. We saw in budget 2021, government has put up a very, very ambitious project on privatization. Another thing which came from our prime minister saying that government has no business to be in the business, which clearly talks about that government should step back, should look into the regulation, administration, ease of doing business rather than doing business. And if that were to happen, clearly it will be a boost to the GDP. But what is needed? What is needed? Let's talk about little more basics here. How can we achieve this $10 trillion? So today, if I have to look at the discretionary consumption sector in India is $1.5 trillion. Population of India is growing at a rate of 1.2% year after year. Currently, we are at 137 crores. Potentially, we will grow and become 145 crores over a next 10-year period, a little more. The important aspect is, with the way urbanization is happening today, the urban population is closer to 34%. All reports project that by the time 2030 happens, the urbanization will be 40%. So 40% of the country, nearly 145 crores, or 40% of that will stay in the cities. Now, what happens when urbanization happens? Three things. A, aspiration to consume increases. People are getting more educated and hence per capita income increases. The lower middle class and the below poverty line tends to move up to the middle class. Third thing, the sheer population increases and hence the consumption also drives. What is projected that in next decade, this 1.5 trillion will actually move to close to $6 trillion. So 4x in 10 years. So which means that 60% of this $10 trillion economy which I'm talking about is given. It's not dependent on exports. It's not dependent on external factors. It's not dependent on commodity prices, crude prices, external geopolitical. It's to do with us. It's to do with our India. It's to do with all of us. And remember that our villages are also getting digital, are also getting urbanized. And their aspiration is to catch up with the best lifestyle, with the best facilities, with the best know-how and education as compared to the cities. So if all that were to happen, 60% is given. We have a clear path how we will achieve our 60 to 70%. So privatization, as you rightly said, Harsh, that it is an important factor, but it's not the only factor. So that's number one. Number two, let's talk about what are the other things which will drive the economy to $10 trillion. One important aspect which nobody talks about, and I'm sorry to say none of the governments have addressed this, is female labor force participation. India, till 2.5 years back, till about 2017-18, it was ranked amongst the bottom 25 in the female labor participation, and the ratio is closer to 24%. What does that 24% mean? It's one of the lowest 25% amongst a list of 150 countries. It means that only 1 out of the 4 women, and by almost women and men form a population of nearly 48% to a 52%, or nearly 50-50. So the balance is there, but only 1 out of 4 women above the age of 15, 16 is either employed or seeking employment. Is employed or seeking employment. And as someone rightly said, women force is the largest reservoir of the untapped potential which the world can use and India can use. So what we need to do is ensure that we need to get more women into the workforce, organized, unorganized, social, healthcare, services, manufacturing, everywhere. Because if women form part of the workforce, clearly the efficiencies will increase, the opportunity will increase, and in turn, the GDP will also jump. So that's number two. Number three is, as per the official statistics, India's unemployment rate stands between 8 to 10%. The problem is there's large unaccounted disguised unemployment. So people who are perceived to be employed, they are not fully employed. What is the solution? We have large number of educational institutes in the country which are producing nearly 1 crore of educated youth, men and women, who want to participate in the employment, who want to participate into the growth of the country, who want to contribute to their household, to their community, but they don't have the job, they don't have the means. So what is required? Very clearly, entrepreneurship. That's one way, absolutely. But second way is community-centered employment. What does that mean? It's very simple. There are a lot of people who are senior citizens who stay alone at their houses. There are mothers who are taking care of the children. There are so many old age homes, so many social sectors which require good quality people to serve. And I don't want them to work free of cost. The idea is very simple. You create a community center employment point-wise system all across India, basis your Aadhaar. So if you run errands for a senior citizen, because your senior citizen has asked you to do so, you'll get some points for it. And every service you render, you will get some points. Those points, you can encash it in the form of food, in the form of medicines. So government, instead of giving direct cash benefit to the individuals in the form of direct transfers to the bank account, you can use this in the form of buying necessities. So you render your services voluntarily, things which you like, and you will get points which can be utilized by you to buy your essentials. And both the parties can grade it in the form of star, exactly how any other social platform or any other e-commerce platform works. The user and the service provider, both of them will rate, and if there is any challenge, there is a central mechanism which solves the issues. Very, very simple. And everything can happen on an app. If we can have a COVID app, if we can have an Aadhaar, if we can have a pay, the entire payment mechanism is digital. Let's do this employment services also on the app. It will solve all the issues. You are willing to work, you choose your work, what you are comfortable doing. You want to help a senior citizen, you want to help a mother, you want to help someone else, you want to help community, render your services, you'll be paid. Very, very simple. It's a win-win. That's the value addition by which the employment problem of India can be solved. And this itself can add closer to 150 to 200 basis points on the GDP. So even if you are able to grow at 5.5%, 6% from the traditional methodology, 200 basis point can come in from this very simple aspect, because we have a large number of unemployed youth and we have a large number of people who want to render their services. Now the people will say, how should I trust? How can I trust that whether the person who's coming to render the services will be safe? This is a similar kind of challenge which was faced by when Airbnb started. Airbnb had the similar issue. How can you rent your own house to an outsider and he or she can live with you? But very clearly, the rating mechanism, the background checks, everything makes it possible. So where there is a will, there's definitely a way. So these are some of the methodologies by which we can clearly achieve our $10 trillion benchmark and rise as the third largest economy in the world and becoming the golden sparrow of the world once again.
Indeed, sir, it's a very excellent idea proposed by you, and I think the concerned authority, those who are looking this video, those who are watching this video, they are surely going to take some of the key major takeaways from this. And sir, you have told us many important points. You have raised the point of unemployment. You have raised the point of women labor. You have raised the point of entrepreneurship. And I think this is something we all should cover, and this is something going to many of help our viewers, those who are watching this session. Not only I think, but I do strongly believe this, sir. Sir, now moving to my next question. Actually, I have got this question from one of my subscriber. He's asking to achieve the 5 trillion economy, or if you say 10 trillion economy, what are those sectors in which India need to make massive investments?
Very, very simple. So one I said is manufacture in India. Now that the government is focusing make in India, but only make in India won't change the trajectory. Now let me give you a very simple analogy here. India's share in the export and import, which is the global trade market, is barely 2.2%. So India's population is second largest. We are 138 crore people when the world population is closer to 760 crore. So one in 7, one in 8 inhabitants on this planet is an Indian. But imagine, we only contribute to meager 2%. So one in 25 trades in the international market is done by India. So we are in very poor shape there. And you know why? What is the reason? India is the largest exporter of shrimps. India is the largest exporter of rice. India is the largest exporter of some of the perishable items. The problem is that we are not exporting value added products. What we are exporting is raw material. Think about it. If I have to divide the entire pie of the world trade into just two parts, one which is technology driven value added services, and second is raw material based, where there is no technology which is input after the product is produced. This portion where India exports is 30% of the world trade market. 70%, which is the value added and the technology driven market, India is practically not present. It does not even exist. And that's the challenge. Think about it. We are the second largest consumer of smartphones in the country. We are the second largest laptop consumers or the computers or the computer hardware in the country. How many Indian companies manufacture that? Now that is something which cannot only happen because of Make in India. There are two more things which are needed. One, you or I or we need to create something known as maker's mentality or the creator's mentality. Our mindset has to be of a creator, of a maker. We can't be corporate slave laborers. We can't be corporate slaves. So we have to start thinking very clearly of making, of creating. And whatever India needs is very different from the world. That's the reason McDonald's did a different experiment of having Jain burgers in India, which was not prevalent anywhere in the world. So for India, you need different solutions. Even if Indian entrepreneurs take inspiration from the Western world, but they need to customize it for the Indian people. And we have such a large market. So what we need is maker's mentality or the creator's mentality. So that's one fundamental thing. Second, we need specialized urbanized villages. We don't need ruralized cities. We don't need cities with poor infrastructure. We need digital urbanized specialized villages. What does that mean? Let me explain to you. I'm sure you would have visited a cow gully in Delhi. In cow gully in Delhi, there are over 150 to 200 shops which give food of different items, various items. When a person comes, he or she spends at least 8-9 hours eating different variety of foods. Now one can have a perspective that second shop or third shop which came into existence is eating away the business. No. As the competition increases in the same space, the market increases. And that's what is needed. One village, one specialization, one product near the port. That's all is needed. If we start manufacturing smartphone glass, just this glass, the touch screen glass, 5 villages should just manufacture this and should produce so much that it can not only be consumed by the entire country, India, but it can be exported. That's all is needed. One product, one micro product, not even a big product, one micro product, 5 villages, same community, export. That's all is needed. Give the infrastructure, give the place, give the technical know-how, and India will become invincible. Same thing happened 30 years back, 3 decades back, 3 to 4 decades back in the technology space. 5 or 6 companies emerged in the data outsourcing, providing the IT solutions. And today, we still are dominant player in the IT services and IT solutions. We may not be the innovator, but we are the biggest in IT service providing. And that's what is needed. Specialized villages and focus. Why can't Surat and the neighboring areas become hub for diamonds? Why can't Guntur and the entire belt become the experts in textiles? Why can't some place become the export oriented for papad, for pickles? Very, very specialized. But 5 villages, 10 villages, everybody in the village should manufacture and make a cooperative. Why has there been only one Amul, one Lijjat? Why haven't we replicated the experience of Amul and Lijjat? Why? The reason is we are not learning from things which have already been done. And that's what is needed. One bureaucrat who will drive, whose KRA is to make sure that these 5 villages become expert into only one product. Whether it is a nail, whether it is a pin, whether it is a pen, does not matter. So that's what is needed.
Indeed, sir. Again, it was a really quite insightful and wonderful answer from your side, and I think it's quite hard to disagree with you in this point. Sir, I can say there's a lot more to learn from you, but today I don't want to take you much time. So, moving to my last question of this session, sir, actually, this question is: India is expected to attract foreign direct investment of USD 120 to 160 billion per year by 2025, according to Confederation of Indian Industry and EY report. Sir, my question to you is: do you think FDI is important for economic growth of India?
Absolutely. So remember that India is a capital starved country. We were not till 17th century, India was one of the fastest growing economies. Thanks to the Britishers, thanks to the ingression from them, they have taken the every last penny from here. So it's interesting that between 1875 and 1947, so nearly 75 years, India grew less than 1% on a GDP scale year after year. And it's extremely distraught. It's extremely bad that India had to face, but whatever happened. We can't change the history. But what we can change is the future. And hence, FDI is essential because we are a capital starved country. You know the fiscal deficit numbers for the state, for the center, for the local municipalities, right? Now, if we have a deficit, we need capital. Capital is like blood. If it is not there, the body cannot survive. And hence, we need capital temporarily for rejuvenating the India's growth. So FDI is very, very critical. We may live without FPI, but FDI is extremely essential. Second, we want more and more entrepreneurs, more and more businessmen to reinvest their money in India. And if you look at most successful entrepreneurs in India, they've actually grown in India, not outside India, because India itself gives such a vast opportunity for demand. The problem is of the supply side, never of the demand. You do good work in India, you'll become operating profitable in practically 3 years. In 1100 days, if you survive just by ensuring that your supply remains intact, demand is plenty much available. In 1600 to 1650 days, which is nearly 4.5 years, you will become profitable at the PAT level, at the bottom line. And after that, you only rise and rise and rise because free cash flows start coming in. So initially, you may need FDI, you may need some support, and especially we need equity markets because FDI helps us with the equity. Debt is still available, but we need more of equity investing. People to have courage to take risks with the entrepreneur because entrepreneur can fail. For everything being right, they still can fail. And hence, we need that risk capital. And hence, FDI is essential for at least next decade, perhaps post that, even in the field of FDI, will become Atmanirbhar.
It's an excellent answer from your side, sir. Thank you so much, sir, for joining and giving your important time. It was a very healthy discussion with you on the topic. We look forward to conduct more such session with you. And one thing which I must say is that the kind of energy you brought into the session was very inspiring for me, for myself too. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, Harsh, for bringing this most pertinent topic at this juncture. Because India is currently, after witnessing a major setback in FY21, we are at a cusp or we are at an inflection point. Just changing this trajectory by little, we can become the third largest economy. And if we don't change the trajectory by little, we'll remain flat. So the choice is available to every Indian, to every person who's listening to this video, and every government servant who believes that India has the potential, India can do it, and India will rise. The question is whether we all take steps jointly or not. If yes, we will create history. Otherwise, the world will write us off. Thank you.
Indeed, sir. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much for joining. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
On the ground is where I stand. Never give up, that was always the plan. It's so cold outside. I'm alone, I'm alright. It's so cold outside. belong.